We go on, I'd like to give you a little background, right? So basically what happened after our independence, that was in 1947, our population in India gradually increased, like it actually increased exponentially. So there was actually a shortage of food, right? Because as the population was growing, there wasn't enough food for the people. So farmers had to do something, the government had to do something, right? So this is when in the 1960s, green revolution came into place. So in few crops, we'll talk about few crops. One of these are wheat and rice. Do you know, from 1960 to 2001, the the amount of wheat increased gradually, and even of the rice. From this period, through this period, the wheat increased from 11 million tons to 75 million tons. Well, this was the case for wheat. And for rice, it increased from 35 million tons to 89.5 million tons. So as you can see, after the green revolution took place, let me just write this word down. Green revolution, so that you guys don't forget. So yes, after green revolution came into place, the amount of yield increased gradually in case of wheat as well as for rice. Like you can see, from 1960 to 2001, it increased from 11 million tons to 75 million tons. I mean, come on, it's no joke. And for rice, it increased from 35 million tons to 89.5 million tons. Well, that's huge. That's a huge amount. Yes. So what did we actually do? Why did it suddenly increase so much? Well, in 1963, semi-dwarf varieties were introduced. Their names were Sonalika and Kalyan Sona. These were derivatives of IR8 and Taichung Native 1. Alright, this was done in 1963. Then after this, in 1966, two other semi-dwarf varieties were introduced. These included Jaya and Ratna. Well, this was all under wheat and rice. In 1963, semi-dwarf varieties like Sonalika and Kalyan Sona were introduced, which were the derivatives of IR8 and Taichung Native 1. And then in 1966, Jaya and Ratna were introduced. But unfortunately, it did not have high sugar content, and also it did not give a high yield. Whereas in the coastal areas, a species of sugarcane only, which was known as Saccharum officinarum, had thick stems, and it even had high yielding property. And high sugar content. But the only problem that Saccharum officinarum faced was, I'll write it over here, it could not be grown in northern India. It would just not grow in northern India. So what the farmers did was, they actually crossed the two breeds of Saccharum barbarian, Saccharum officinarum, and they produced a hybrid. So this hybrid helped overcome the problems for the farmers that were located in northern India. So the hybrid, I'll write it over here. So the hybrid that was produced had high sugar content, high yielding property, and had thick stems. And of course, it could be grown in northern India. So this helped overcome the problem of sugarcane, right? So the last crop that we have under this is millets. We have maize, jowar, and bajra. All these three crops were also hybridized, and hybrids were produced that had the property of resistance to water stress. So there are three crops that we read under Green Revolution. Those are wheat and rice, three crop varieties. First is wheat and rice, second is millets, and the third one is sugarcane, right?